Hello, and welcome back to the English Cast. I'm Ryan.
Hi, everyone. I'm Emma, and we're very happy to have you with us today.
Emma, I was thinking about how often simple words can cause the most confusion. Have you ever noticed that people sometimes hesitate between two very small, very common words?
I absolutely have, Ryan. Are you talking about do and make?
Yes, exactly. I heard a conversation recently where someone said, I made my homework after I did a mistake, and while I understood completely, it just didn't sound like a native speaker. That tiny switch in those two words can really stand out.
It's so interesting, isn't it? It's a classic example of something that feels like it should have a perfect rule, but it often comes down to knowing which words naturally go together. I hear learners struggle with that all the time.
I think part of the challenge is that both verbs mean something similar in other languages, but in English they usually divide the world of actions very differently. Shall we try to simplify it a bit for everyone?
That's a great idea. It's not about memorizing hundreds of rules, but maybe finding a few key principles that help us choose the right word more often than not.
Let's start with do. When I think of do, I often think of actions, tasks, or obligations. It's frequently used when we talk about work or something that is a routine activity, without creating something new.
That makes total sense. Like when we say, do the dishes or do the laundry. These are household tasks that we perform as part of a regular routine.
Exactly. We also do our work, do a report, or do research. It's about the process or the effort rather than a final product.
And then make seems to be the opposite in that way. With make, we usually focus on creating something, constructing something, or producing a result that wasn't there before.
That's a great distinction. If you visualize the action with make, you see a final product emerging. Think about food. You make dinner, make a cake, or make coffee. You are combining ingredients to create something new that you can see and eat.
I love thinking about it visually. When I make coffee, I go from coffee grounds and water to a cup of coffee. When I do the dishes, I'm cleaning things that already exist. I'm performing a maintenance task.
That's a perfect example. I think that logic can help people decide in many situations. Of course, the real challenge for learners often comes when we move away from those physical examples. What happens when we talk about abstract ideas, like plans or decisions?
Ah, the abstract ones. I think that's where many mistakes happen. For example, if I have to decide on something, do I do a decision or make a decision?
Based on what we just discussed, which one feels right?
Well, a decision is the result of a thought process. I am producing a choice where there wasn't one before. So, to make a decision feels much more natural.
It is. We also make plans, make a suggestion, and make an excuse. In all these cases, you are bringing an idea or a thought into existence. You create the plan or the excuse.
That makes it so much clearer. But what about do a favor? I've always wondered about that. A favor isn't exactly a physical object.
That's true. A favor is an action or a service you perform for someone else. You are doing a helpful task. It doesn't create a new product. It's a helpful action. So we say, could you do me a favor?
That's a great point. It's an action you perform. And similarly, we do business with people. That's about engaging in the activity of buying or selling.
Precisely. It's the process. Now, I hear a lot of confusion around phone calls and emails. What do you think learners say?
I imagine they sometimes say, do a phone call, because making a call feels like a task on a to do list, which is often do a task.
I hear that mistake all the time. But in English, we say make a phone call. Maybe because we are creating a connection with someone else? We are initiating a communication.
That's a good way to justify it. We are making a connection, producing a call. But interestingly, for emails, we use a different verb sometimes.
That's true. We can send an email, but if we are talking about the act of creating it, we might write an email. I don't think we often use make or do for emails, unless we are talking generically about our work, like, I need to do some emails.
That's interesting, Ryan. Yes, do some emails sounds like I need to process some of my correspondence. It's an administrative task. That distinction is really key, isn't it?
It is. I think a good tip for our listeners is to pause for just a second when they are about to use do or make. Ask yourself, is this an action or task, or is it a creation?
Let's test that on a common mistake. I was talking with someone the other day and they said, I need to do my bed every morning. What do you think about that sentence?
I understand what they mean, but it sounds unnatural. Do your bed isn't what we say. To tidy your bed, to arrange the sheets and pillows in the morning, is to make your bed.
It is. Even though we aren't physically constructing the bed from wood, we are creating a tidy space. We are organizing the environment.
That's a great example. I can see why a learner might think of it as a chore, like doing laundry. But English views it as creating order.
I think it really helps to accept that some of these are just established phrases that native speakers learn through repetition, rather than perfectly logical rules.
They are, Emma. Sometimes the rules we find can only get us so far, and the best approach is just to observe how the words are used. Shall we think about some of those advanced uses, the expressions that don't seem to follow the creation versus action logic?
Yes, definitely. One that comes to mind is make an effort. I suppose you are creating the effort in a way, but it feels more like an action.
It does. Make an effort is a very common phrase. Also, make an appointment. You are creating the scheduled meeting. And perhaps the most surprising one, make a mistake.
Yes, the example we started with. Make a mistake. Why isn't it do a mistake?
That is a great question. Perhaps because the mistake itself is a result of your action. You produce the error. It's not a task you are performing on purpose. It's the unintended result of something.
That's a fascinating way to look at it. You produce the error. Let's think about some other common ones. How about do sport or do exercise?
We use do because these are physical activities we engage in. It's an action we perform for our health or for leisure. You are participating in the process of exercising.
I sometimes hear people say, make exercise. That would imply they are creating a new form of exercise, like inventing a new workout routine.
Exactly. If you invent a new type of exercise, then you made an exercise. But when you are simply working out, you do exercise.
This makes it feel much less like a guessing game. It's about understanding the heart of the action.
Let's give our listeners a little challenge now, Emma. We will say a fictional everyday situation, and you can tell us which word feels right.
Let's do it. Ryan, you go first.
Imagine I'm talking about my morning routine. I wake up and I think about my breakfast. Would I say, I need to do some eggs?
Think about this sentence, everyone. What sounds more natural to you? For me, I'm creating a cooked breakfast, right? So I would say, I need to make some eggs.
Perfect. How about a social situation, Emma?
Okay, imagine I'm talking to a friend about a party. I want to tell them I have organized everything. Would I say, I have made the arrangements?
Arrangements. You are producing a set of plans. So, made the arrangements is correct. You are constructing the schedule for the evening.
Let's try one more. Imagine I need to tidy my living room. Would I say, I need to make the cleaning?
The cleaning. That is a series of household tasks. You are performing the actions. So I would say, I need to do the cleaning.
That's actually a great example. I hear that mistake all the time. People might say, make cleaning because they think they are creating a clean space, but the activity is a series of chores.
Yes, and we also do the hoovering, or do the vacuuming, or do the dusting. All specific household tasks.
This conversation really makes me realize how many phrases we use unconsciously, without ever questioning why they are the way they are.
They are, Emma. And as a native speaker, I don't think about the creation versus action rule when I say, make a mistake. I just know that's the phrase. But for someone learning, that initial logical framework can be incredibly useful.
It is. It offers a kind of roadmap. Instead of feeling completely lost, they have some guidance. And the more they use these phrases correctly, the more natural they'll start to sound over time. Practice is really everything, isn't it?
It truly is. It's about building those neural connections so the natural option becomes the immediate response. The best thing is to start noticing these combinations when you read or listen.
I totally agree. When you watch a movie or read an article, try to spot any time do or make is used. Note the word that comes after it. That passive observation can be very powerful.
That's a fantastic suggestion. We don't always need to be actively studying grammar rules. Simply being curious and observant can teach us so much about the flow and the natural rhythm of a language.
I really think that's key. And to the learners who get discouraged when they switch do and make, don't worry. Native speakers also make small mistakes sometimes, especially when they are tired. The main goal is to communicate, and in most cases, swapping do and make won't stop you from being understood.
That's a very supportive point, Emma. And I think that's a good moment to summarize what we've talked about today. The key idea is do for tasks, jobs, and actions. Make for creation, results, and constructing.
Yes, and beyond that basic idea, there are fixed expressions like make a phone call, make a mistake, and make plans, which you will learn through exposure and practice.
That's exactly right. And let's invite our listeners to practice a little bit with us right now, just for fun.
Let's do it. What's the challenge?
Let's ask our listeners to pause the podcast and try to form 3 sentences about their day using do and make. Think about an action you perform using do and something you produce or create using make. Take a moment and think about this sentence.
Which one sounds more natural to you? I might say, today I did my homework, I made dinner for my family, and I did some exercise.
That's a perfect example. Do homework, task, make dinner, creation, do exercise, action. Listeners, give it a try. What are your 3 sentences? Take a moment to think.
I love that idea. It helps to immediately apply what they've learned to their own lives.
It does. It makes it real and relatable. The more we connect new knowledge to our daily experience, the easier it is to remember.
So true. This has been a really helpful conversation, Ryan. I feel like we've taken a topic that can seem massive and complicated and broken it down into manageable pieces.
I feel the same way. The language is less about rigid constraints and more about a general understanding that shapes the way we express ourselves. It's a supportive structure.
All right, that brings us to the end of today's episode. We hope this conversation helped make English feel clearer and more natural for you in everyday situations.
Remember, progress comes from small, daily practice.
If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the English Cast so you don't miss the next one.
And as always, keep learning, keep speaking, and keep connecting. Thanks for spending your time with us. We'll see you in the next episode.